So welcome to Tuesday Talks Facebook Live. I'm Adrienne. I'm a competent woman. I am the president and CEO of Women for Sobriety. And today I am here to talk about Statement 7. So our Statement 7 is love can change the course of my world. And the thought action is caring is all important. So this is one of my favorite statements and one of the harder ones for me in the beginning. I want to preface this by letting anyone know who's watching this from home on the recording that we are 2 days away from a very COVID Thanksgiving. And so what this means is that a lot of people are not able to travel and see their family for Thanksgiving this year. And so I think this statement is super appropriate to talk about today because some of us may be feeling that lack of love or that lack of feeling of connectedness with others by not being able to go spend Thanksgiving with them. So I just thought this was a really appropriate one for us to think about today. So how can we, even with this social distancing, continue to show and experience feelings of love? So first, our little WFS history lesson, which I found some cool stuff today. I'm so nerdy about this. Okay, so Statement 7 originally appeared as Love Can Change the Course of My World, exactly as it is today. The thought action originally appeared in 1983 as Caring Becomes All Important. Now, really interesting. In December of 1986, Dr. Jean Kirkpatrick, our program founder, reprinted the statements and changed number 1, 7, 12, and 13 in the December 1986 newsletter. And statement 7 was changed to love and understanding can change the course of my world, which blew me away because I don't remember seeing that before. Anyways, in February of 1987, so like 2 months later, it got printed back as Love Can Change the Course of My World. Like nothing ever happened. And in April of 1987, Jean wrote an article about the changes to statements 1, 12, and 13, and like no mention of statement 7. Didn't mention why it got changed or why it got changed back, just addressed 1, 12, and 13. So I thought that was really interesting. If you were around and in Jean's inner circle back in 1986, 1987, I would love for you to reach out to me and let me know like the story behind that if you know it. So this statement obviously did not get changed in the revision of the program booklet in 2017, but the thought action did get tweaked a little. So it was originally Caring Becomes All Important. And we changed a number of things to make it present tense because, of course, like when does caring become all important? When was it not all important? All of that kind of stuff. Like, why are some of these in future tense and some of these are in present tense? So we just, it just got edited to be in present tense, like a lot of the other statements. So caring is all important, always has been, always will be. Maybe we were just a little bit tuned out to that when we were under the influence. So why do we need this statement? And that was the perfect segue because I think, at least for me, and I don't know about you, but for me, I really got tuned out of love during my addiction. I certainly didn't love myself, and I certainly didn't love my life. Clearly, otherwise I wouldn't have gotten into recovery and decided to change things. And I couldn't really feel love towards others, and I couldn't really feel love from them either. So I don't know if any of you had this similar experience, but I think, you know, our senses just got so dulled, at least mine did, that love was certainly something that I was really tuned out of. And then I also had, when I think of the thought action, caring is all important. You know, I was thinking about this today and I thought, gosh, yeah, I really didn't care much about anything. Like I had this great apathy. Like, oh, oh, the rent went up, whatever. Oh, I got fired, whatever. Oh, I, got kicked out of school, whatever. I don't think I ever got fired, but I did get kind of kicked out of school. So, but it was just this kind of apathy, like, yeah, whatever. Like, give me another drink, or, give me another drug. And so that apathy, um, was really holding me back in a lot of ways. It was enabling me to continue to drink and use, but it wasn't helping me grow in any way, for sure. So I think this statement is really important on a number of levels, right? We need to be able to re-experience love in our life, because clearly love makes life a lot more bearable. And then we also need to learn to care about things again. So how do we do that? In some of my research, uh, one of the first articles that Jean wrote about this statement, she talked a lot about how the women in the group are where we start to learn how to love again. And I love that concept. And it's certainly true for me when I started going to group. I was probably not very lovable, but those women sure held me close and cared about me even when I didn't care much about myself and certainly was not very loving towards myself. So I think, and I hear over and over again throughout the years, like people feel so welcomed into the program by the other women. So I think our number one way to practice number 7, especially in the beginning, is just to get involved with other women and women for sobriety. We don't judge each other. We don't look down on each other. We all are bonded by the fact that we're women and the fact that we all have this life-threatening problem that we're recovering from, whether it's alcohol or other drugs or both. Um, we have that commonality. And so it's pretty easy to love each other, I think, in that way. So number one tip for practicing number 7, get involved with Women for Sobriety with the other women, either through online meetings or face-to-face meetings if you have them in your area, or temporary Zoom meetings if that's what you have in your area, but get involved. Uh, a classic exercise that Jean recommended in a number of places in her literature was to write a list of all the people that you love and the reasons why. Um, I don't know about reasons why. What do you love about them, right? What stands out to you when you think about them and why you feel love towards them? And then she also said to make a list of people that you have difficulty loving and why you think that is. Like, what makes it difficult to love people? And I think that's really interesting because that can really show us our values, right? And can really give us some insight into our values and our relationships and what we're looking for in relationships, and maybe what might be some red flags in relationships for things that we want to stay away from. So that's a really good exercise. So a list of people that you love and why, and a list of people that you have difficulty loving and why. Speaking of difficult people, I like to trot this one out when someone's really struggling with another human, which of course we do all the time because people are different and some people are difficult to get along with. And so when we feel like someone's being really difficult, sometimes it can really change our mindset to reach out to them with love. So maybe your boss is really getting on your case. And you can think like, oh, she's so annoying, she's so picky, she's such a jerk, right? Or we can tell ourselves a different story that might make her seem more sympathetic, or just make us feel more caring towards them. Here's the trick. That story does not have to be true. I had a boss once, super picky, super like, I'd present her with the perfect flyer and she'd come back with, oh, you should change this and this. And I just could not figure it out. And then I decided This is terrible, you guys. I'm really not this conceited. But I decided that she was intimidated by my youth and beauty. And that sounds terrible, but it made her more relatable because I'm often intimidated by other people who I think are, smarter, prettier, better than me, whatever, right? So when I told myself the story that okay, she was maybe feeling jealous or intimidated by my youth or my intellect or whatever, then I could reach out to her with love more. Then I could accept her feedback better. And it just decreased my defensiveness. So that's something that I have used throughout the years. It can be really tricky, especially if someone's really difficult to deal with, and it can be easy to move in and out of love with people like that, especially before you get practiced at it. So, but try it next time someone is really getting on your nerves. Think, well, how would I act if I really loved and cared about this person and really loved and cared about what they were feeling in this moment? Another way to practice number 7 is just very small acts of love. And, love, I rarely am talking about romantic love, right? We're not talking about romantic love here. We're just talking about feelings of warmth and affection. So, small acts of love, when you're standing in the grocery store, send a quick text. I woke up this morning to a Bitmoji from my best friend, and she said it was like, someone punching it in, and she was like, "Oh, punching it in for a great day at work today, and I'll see you this weekend." And it was just like it was so sweet, and it was so unexpected, and it was so random, and it just made my day. Like my whole day was great after that. So just that small act of love. She woke up thinking about me and she sent me a text, and it really affected my day. And I can do that too, right? I do that too sometimes with her or with other people. I'll just write them and say, "Hey, I really appreciate you." Or, "Thanks so much for that thing you did the other day." It doesn't take long, but it can mean something to them, and it changes me too, right? It's a nice thing to do for them, but it changes my perspective. Um, a little note card, a little thank you note, or just a little um, thinking about your card in the mail. Everybody loves to get mail, but nobody sends it anymore because of the internet. So think about, sending a little card in the mail, especially right now as we're so distant from people. Phone calls, Zoom. I had on my list, stop by and see someone. Not a real good technique to use right now, but in the future, if you're watching this, the recording, and there isn't social distancing and a global pandemic on, go stop by someone's house and just say hi, or leave them a note or a chocolate bar or just something to let them know you're thinking about them. And then my last tip for this one, sorry, I know I'm going a little long today, but I just love this statement so much. There's something called loving kindness practice. This is a Buddhist practice, and when I say Buddhist, I mean the Buddhist philosophy. I'm not talking religion here, but there is a Buddhist practice. It's called metta practice or loving kindness, and it's just a practice. Look it up if you want. There's a lot of guided meditations on this, and they're really good. I really like doing them. And it just kind of walks you through, it'll have some phrases usually like, "May you be peaceful and joyful. May you be free of distress. Um, may you," I don't know, I can't think of any other ones, but and it's usually just slightly different depending on who's leading it. But basically, the practice is like you call to mind, usually first, someone who it's really easy for you to feel love towards, because that kind of sets the stage. And then you practice bringing to mind maybe someone who it's difficult for you to feel love towards, someone who's really neutral to you, and just practice loving a stranger. Usually you bring yourself to mind and you practice sending yourself love, because that is usually something that we are not so good at. And then you expand that out typically at the end, and you kind of send love to all living beings. And it's just a really lovely practice and a really lovely way to intentionally practice feeling and exerting love out into the world. So that is my statement 7 Tuesday talk. I hope you heard something that was kind of helpful there. I didn't go too much into self-love, but let me tell you, that's probably one of the most important areas that most of us need to practice love. So don't forget to apply some of these things to yourself as well and learn to show yourself love through small acts like telling yourself you love you, or buying yourself some flowers on a bad day or whatever. Write yourself a love letter. Why not? See how that goes. Anyway, okay, that's it. I promise I'm going to end now. Thank you so much for joining me this holiday week. I really appreciate it. And this will be available on Facebook Live or on the group. And we will see you next week. All right, bye-bye.